KOAM.
Now at 10, what Pittsburgh police are saying about a break-in at the high school. Plus, details of a fire at a Joplin motel. And going to take a look at how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the opioid epidemic and what resources are available for those who are struggling with addiction.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Going to be stormy tonight, much colder tomorrow. This is KOAM News at 10. We go straight to meteorologist Nick Kelly. Nick.
And that's just the first of the couple of storm systems that will change our weather up as we go through the next few days, Jordan. 50 degrees, though, ahead of our approaching storm system this morning, topping out at 73. That's about 3 shy of the record of 76 set back in 1996. We kept things pretty quiet, even though the wind was still out there all evening long. But there is a tornado watch just clipping Benton County in northwest Arkansas until 4 a.m. No other watches or warnings in progress with the latest sweep of the radar, but we are noting the activity picking up in our southern counties, with the bulk of the storm so far staying to the south of I-40 and heading toward generally Fort Smith, Arkansas. But the upper levels, the incoming cold front, they're really starting to come together. So as we take you through this shortened view of the future track, you can see how we're still right on track. After 11 o'clock, the midnight hour through the overnight, we'll have our shot for showers and thunderstorms to pass on through. Some of these could be strong to severe, but not a big severe threat. We'll see what these storms will do later on, Jordan, including another potential winter storm by the middle of the week. For now, back to you.
Nick, thank you so much. Joplin Fire Department is investigating what led to a fire at the Best Western Oasis. Happened around 3:30 today. Crews from Newton County Ambulance and Reddings Mill Fire were all called in to assist. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Pittsburgh Police Department arrests a man they say broke into the high school. Police say Saturday the suspect broke into the high school, used a fire hose to spray water in the gym, stole property. Investigators say he was arrested shortly after the break-in was discovered with the stolen property in his possession. No official charges have been filed. In a statement, the superintendent said they are cooperating with the investigation and, quote, "We are thankful that student and staff remained unharmed during this incident and that learning and activities will continue as planned this week at Pittsburgh High School." Kansas lawmakers are considering 2 proposals that would make it harder for police to seize and keep cash and property from people suspected in crimes. One bill would require law enforcement to get a criminal conviction before seizing assets. Currently, though, law enforcement can go to civil courts to get approval to take property officers believe is linked to a crime. Supporters of the process say it serves as a deterrent to crime and provides important funding for law enforcement. The latest Kansas Bureau of Investigation report on the practice said law enforcement agencies statewide claimed $2.1 million in cash and nearly $800,000 in other property in 2020 through the civil forfeiture process. 93,000 is the number of drug overdose deaths here in the United States in 2020. Locally, officials say the numbers are average. Nonetheless, the COVID-19 pandemic has added to the opioid epidemic, with the worst surge coming in 2020. Officials with Met's Ambulance in Joplin say they had 155 overdose calls in 2021, each of them requiring the use of Narcan. Officials with the Ozark Center's New Directions facility say at the beginning of the pandemic, they saw a jump in opioid overdoses. However, they say there are options available for those struggling with addiction.
So if they're a person that likes more of a group type setting, if a person likes more of an individual one-on-one type basis, a detox type program, a residential program, all of those services are all provided, and we are able to do that here at Ozark Center.
The Ozark Center is hosting a free event for those impacted by a friend or family member's addiction this March. We have more information in this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, the U.S. has lifted a temporary ban on avocados from Mexico, allowing imports of the in-demand fruit to resume. And while the recent halt was brief, experts say the impact could still be felt in the next 2 weeks. Jen Sullivan has a closer look.
Avocado shipments from Mexico are once again entering American soil after the U.S. lifted an unusual ban.
This is not something that I remember seeing in the last 20 years.
David Magana, senior analyst for Rabobank, says that while the ban was brief, the damage was done.
Going forward, obviously, we will see availability of avocados declining, and temporarily we will see even higher prices.
The ban was put in place after a USDA safety inspector received a credible death threat on February 11th. While it's unclear who was behind it, experts say avocados have become so popular that criminals often want to get a slice of the action.
Avocados are one of the most lucrative crops in Mexico, And we've seen, unfortunately, that there has been some cartel activity linked to them.
Nearly 90% of the avocados imported to the U.S. come from Mexico. Magaña says consumers could have trouble finding avocados and could pay more for those they do find at the store.
A piece of good news is that avocado production from California will be up 15% this year compared to the production last year.
Magaña says increased scrutiny on Mexican produce has been growing over the decades.
The U.S. International Trade Commission has been investigating imports from Mexico for tomatoes for more than 20 years. And recently they did something for blueberries and now also strawberries and bell peppers.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
The Department of Agriculture says it's working closely with Mexican authorities to enact enhanced safety measures for inspectors working in the fields. Still ahead, a jury in Georgia has started deliberations in the federal hate crimes trial of 3 men who were already convicted of chasing down and murdering 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery. And Western countries announced sanctions after Russian President Vladimir Putin recognized 2 regions of eastern Ukraine as independent states. Tonight, a jury in Georgia has begun deliberations in the federal hate crimes trial of 3 men who were already convicted of chasing down and murdering 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery. Janet Chamblian is at the courthouse.
The pursuit of Ahmaud Arbery that led to his murder 2 years ago this week was not racially motivated, but a result of the belief he was involved in criminal activity. That was the message during today's closing arguments from lawyers for the 3 defendants. The men have already been convicted of Arbery's murder in state court. The federal case hinges on whether the men were motivated specifically because the 25-year-old was black. Prosecutors telling the jury Travis and Gregory McMichael and William Roddy Bryan were driven by racial assumptions, racial resentment, and racial anger. 20 witnesses testified, and text messages and social media posts were introduced to establish a history of racist views, some repeatedly using the N-word. Legal analyst Joe Tamburino.
So the text messages, the Facebook posts are relevant, even though they happened over a past number of years?
Yes, they are, because what it gives the jury is an idea as to whether or not these 3 defendants have racial animosity toward black individuals. There's plenty of evidence here that obviously these individuals have problems with other races.
The McMichaels tried to enter a plea deal before trial, but the judge rejected it after Arbery's family opposed it. His parents were in court today.
This has been very draining, and I'm thankful that it's almost over.
All 3 men have already been sentenced to life in prison after their murder convictions. The federal charges carry a maximum life sentence as well. The jury started deliberating on Monday, but ended the day without a verdict. The Arbery family is hoping for a decision by Wednesday. That's the 2-year anniversary of Ahmaud Arbery's death. Janet Chamblian, CBS News, Brunswick, Georgia.
After meeting with his National Security Council today, Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree recognizing 2 regions of eastern Ukraine as independent states. The White House immediately condemned the move, saying it's going to block new U.S. investments to and from that region and pave the way for additional sanctions.
We're ready to continue diplomacy, including at the highest levels, but we are equally ready, and we are united as the West in imposing swift and severe consequences if Russia chooses to move forward.
The U.S. says it has intelligence Russia is maneuvering towards an invasion. Tens of thousands of its troops remain near Ukraine's border in Belarus, even though Russia says joint military exercises are over. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also continues his diplomatic push this week. Tomorrow, he's going to meet with his Ukrainian counterpart. He's also expected to meet with the Russian foreign minister if Russia does not invade. England's Queen Elizabeth II tested positive for COVID-19. Buckingham Palace made the announcement yesterday. Officials say the Queen is having cold-like symptoms, but expects to continue light duties at Windsor over the coming week. She also will continue to get medical attention. Her son, Prince Charles, the heir to the throne, tested positive for COVID back on February 10th. Family Dollar voluntarily recalling some medications, human and animal food, cosmetics, medical devices, and dietary supplements because of rodents. The discount chain says there's evidence of rodents at its distribution center in Arkansas. Family Dollar shipped the now recall FDA-regulated products. to 404 stores in the South and Southeast last month. So far, no human or animal illnesses have been reported. The company is notifying impacted stores and customers who can return the items for a refund. Carnival Cruises will be relaxing its mask rules next month. Beginning March 1st, masks will be recommended but not required. The company says, though, there may be certain venues and events where you're going to have to still wear a mask. Masks on board cruise ships have been an ongoing topic since the onset of this coronavirus pandemic. The Carnival Corporation owns several major cruise lines, and according to the company, about 13 million passengers sail on board a Carnival-owned ship in a typical year. Demand for homes bounced back in January. According to the National Association of Realtors, existing home sales rose 6.7% last month. Meanwhile, the amount of the homes on the market fell, pushing up prices. The median price of a previously owned home rose above $350,000. Many Americans are just one hospital visit or car problem away from erroneous credit card debt. According to Bankrate, only 53% of adults have more money in an emergency savings account than on a credit card. What's more, 22% of U.S. households have more credit card debt than rainy day savings. On the bright side, though, the figures are an improvement from a year ago. Later, Missouri Southern looking to bounce back from a 3-game losing streak tonight against Missouri Western. Highlights in sports.
But first, we got rain and storms to track tonight, then a winter storm potentially and looking likely by the middle of the week. We'll break it all down coming up next. We've got quite a bit on our plate, not only as we go through tonight with storms on the way in, but a potential and looking likely winter storm by the middle of the week. Let's just dive right in. I know everyone wants to know about the winter storm watch. This is certainly one big system that we're watching, but that's until we get into the middle of the week. But out ahead of it, we do have winter storm watches for northeast Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas until 6 o'clock Thursday evening. We have a system coming in right now that we have to contend with first. I mean, it's going to give a good number of you between 1/4 of an inch to an inch of rain. And for some of you in Berry County, that's probably rain you don't need. That's why you're clipped with the flood watch until noon tomorrow. In the more near term, we've got a tornado watch clipping Benton County in Arkansas until 4 a.m. going into your Tuesday. But you can see how much of the area is not really involved with any severe weather watches or warnings right now. In fact, we've been quiet through much of the day as the cloud cover's been on the uptick. But look at the live radar sweep here. We definitely are noting some developing rain and storms in our southern counties beginning to pick up. So we are still on track to see these rain chances ramp up and continue to pass on through as we go through the overnight. Right now, though, it's still quiet in Joplin with plenty of cloud cover up top. 65 with the south wind to 18, gusting to 31. Certainly ramping that humidity up, sitting at 75%. Everyone is still mainly ahead of this cold front, but you could definitely tell it's knocking on the door as we speak. But as long as we're still ahead of it, we're still in the lower to middle 60s with that good south wind in place. So this cold front is certainly a driving force for these thunderstorms already rumbling across southeast Oklahoma. That's just one part of the system, though. We've got the cold front at the surface, a low-level jet just above the surface kicking in extra lift and moisture, and this quick wave in the upper levels coming out of Colorado. That's giving us the rain and storm chances for tonight. The upper low you see out in the Pacific Northwest, that's the one that's going to give us quite a headache by Wednesday and Thursday. In the near short term, though, again, we'll just focus on the rain and storms late tonight through about 5 a.m. Tuesday. They have a low severe threat, but we still really think the better chances for any severe weather, likely severe weather, just south of the region. But as these storms come on through, we'll still keep an eye on them for the potential for a few high wind gusts, some large hailstones, and heavy rainfall. Can't rule out maybe a random isolated tornado or two, but you saw by that tornado watch, the better threat for that is going to be mainly south of the region. With that said, though, the future track still has a good idea of these rain and thunderstorm chances coming in from the southwest to the northeast as we go through the overnight. We'll definitely keep an eye on these. Thankfully, though, by the start of the morning drive, we'll get the bulk of these rain chances out of here. But behind that passing cold front, you can see how temperatures just keep going in the wrong direction. Take Joplin, for example. Even though we're going to see quieter skies by the afternoon, we go from 55 at 6 a.m. to 43 by noon and highs near 40. At least we'll be dry for Tuesday afternoon. But by Wednesday afternoon, that upper level low out west gives us snow, sleet chances, maybe a little freezing rain on Wednesday, and then a mix of freezing rain, sleet, and snow in our northern counties as we go into Thursday. Most spots With this midweek system, could see a 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice with heavier amounts, maybe pushing 1/2 an inch. Areas closer to Table Rock Lake. And for those that see less in the way of ice, you could pick up potentially 1 to 2 inches of sleet and snow combined. So, Jordan, bottom line is Mother Nature showing everything, including the kitchen sink at us as we go through the next 3 days. So we'll deal with the rain and storms tonight with temperatures near 40 by tomorrow afternoon. We'll deal with the wintry mess Wednesday and Thursday. Then we'll try to calm things down by Friday.
A lot of changes.
A lot of them.
Lots to talk about, as you said. Nick Kelly, thank you. All right, coming up in sports, the Missouri Southern men trying to snap a 3-game skid at Missouri Western. Also, a top 10 battle in Carl Junction between the Bulldogs and Nixa Eagles. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
This week is the final week of the regular season for MIAA basketball. The Missouri Southern men hit the road tonight against Missouri Western in a makeup game from earlier in the year. The Lions trying to snap a 3-game skid against Western in this one. Second half, Avery Taggart finishes here. Lions down just 3 with 7 minutes to go. Other end, Jerron Timms, floater in the lane. Griffins go back up 8 with just 4 to play. But back to Avery Taggart. Dude had a big night. Hit 5 threes, finishes with a game-high 25 points. Southern makes 3 free throws when the game was tied in the final 30 seconds. So here we go. Western ball under 10 seconds left. Q Mays not able to get it to go. Southern holds on. Lions win at Western 71-68. Well, 2 of the best girls teams in Southwest Missouri meet tonight in Carl Junction. The Bulldogs welcome in the Nixa Eagles in a battle of 2 top 10 teams. And Nixa is currently ranked 4th in Class 6. CJ number 7 in Class 5. A good start for Carl Junction. Destiny Berge out to Hallie Shorter for 3. Then flip it around, Shorter to Berge this time. Berge knocks it down. Berge scores 9 in the first, 27 in the game. But Macy Conway, huge problem in the second. Turns and scores here. Then minutes later, working again on the block. Conway gets 12 in the first half. And Nixa was up by 15 at the break. Third quarter here. Kylie Scott saves to Desi Williams. Freshman had a good game tonight. CJ with an 8 going to the 4th. And they got within 1. But Nora Clark scores and the foul. Clark scores 17 tonight. Back to Macy Conway. She was fantastic. Conway drops 23 tonight to lead the Eagles. Nixa outlasts Carl Junction 70-59. In Joplin, it's senior night for the Joplin girls against Neosho. Early on, pass goes up to Carly Ellick. She turns and finishes with the left. Ellick scores 12 for Neosho tonight. To the second, Bryn Driver, also a good evening. Corner 3 here is good for Driver. She scores 10 in this one. And not to be outdone, second half, Brooke Nice open in the far corner for Joplin. She leads the Eagles with 14 points. Joplin was up just 2 at half. They pulled away in this one. In the 4th, Emma Floyd on the rebound gets the putback bucket. Joplin, big win on senior night, 40-26. The Missouri Southern baseball team is finishing up the MIAA GLVC crossover today. The Lions won the first 3 in the crossover after sweeping a doubleheader from Truman State on Sunday. Southern on the field against Illinois Springfield today, trying for their 4th straight win. 4th inning here, big swing from Drew Davis. Puts it up and over the fence to left. First homer of the year for Davis. 5 runs in the inning gives Southern their first lead. The Prairie Stars tie it back up, then bottom of the 5th. Matt Miller gets the Lions back on top. Single here brings in Clay Milas. It's 7-6 Missouri Southern, but once again tied up at 8 in the bottom of the 8th. 2 on, 2 outs for Ryan Doran. Huge clutch single up the middle, scores Tragan Parker and Drew Davis. It's 10-8 Lions. And that was the final. Southern 4-0 in the GLVC crossover with Pitt State coming to town for the MIAA opener on Friday.
Playing teams like Springfield and Quincy and Nova, these teams that we played, that's MIAA baseball, and so there's no gimmies in our league, and I know it's a cliche, everybody says that, but we get off, right off the bat, we play a really good opponent, and that's the same every weekend in our league. And so if we can remain consistent with our effort, we'll be able to have competitive games.
To Pittsburgh now, Gorillas trying to take the series from Wayne State after splitting the first 2 games of the 3-game series. Look at this. The Wildcats have bases loaded in the first. Zach Curry steps off the rubber. Guy on third just takes off and steals home. Wayne State actually gets 2 in the top of the first. Gorillas, though, did their damage in the second. 2 on for Ryan Koval. Rolls it all the way to the wall and left. That scores Garrett McGowan and Cruz Aranda. The game is tied. Then Mason Hartman shoots it down the right field line here. Koval comes home. Pitt State has its first lead. But they're not done there. Second and third for Caleb Carr. He pokes it into left. 2 more score. Look at this. Hartman crossing the plate, all fired up. 5 in the second for the Gorillas. Pitt State takes the series, winning this one 9-5. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson served in the U.S. Army. He's from Rockville, Missouri, and we are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Virginia high school wrestler without legs is turning heads. Adonis Lattimore won the state's Class 6 106-pound wrestling championship Saturday. Lattimore was born without a right leg, and his left leg only goes to the middle of his thigh. He also only has one fully functioning arm. Lattimore is a senior at Lansdowne High School in Virginia Beach, hopes to suit up in college, do the same thing. He's been wrestling since the 2nd grade. And that's the show of strength right there, isn't it?
No kidding, man.
Good for him.
To do it's one thing, to do it and to win a state. Yeah, that's impressive.
I just like with volleyball in high school. That was it.
Going to change. Some big changes coming our way.
Yeah, we've got rain and storms to watch tonight. Not a big severe threat, but something we'll watch through the overnight. But that'll take us from the 60s overnight to 40 tomorrow afternoon. And that cold snap sets us up for another wave Wednesday and Thursday. That's going to be another potential winter storm with sleet and snow, maybe some freezing rain too. So we got plenty on our plate to watch.
Final sports note, Jake.
MIAA softball player, or Missouri Southern softball player Ashlyn Williams was named the MIAA co-hitter of the week. You can check out what she had to say about that on our Facebook page.
Awesome. Good for her. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great rest of the night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Salon service is provided by the Wild